Israel, Northwest, New World Order, Israel, New World Order, persecution and election reaction. Let's start out with Israel. Here's that map for those watching by television, those watching by radio. What it shows is Israel surrounded by Sudan, Libya. We've got Saudi Arabia. We've got Iran. We've got Turkey. We've got Russia to the north. And it's basically that Gog-Magog coalition of Ezekiel 38 surrounding Israel. And what could they possibly want? Well, Ezekiel 38:12 tells us to capture spoil and to seize plunder, to turn your hand against the waste places which are now inhabited, and against the people who gathered from the nations, who have acquired cattle and goods, who live at the center of the world. So Israel is described as being at the center of the world. They have cattle, they have goods, they have spoils, and they come, Ezekiel 38, Gog, Magog, to capture it. Ezekiel 38:13, Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish with all its villages will say to you, have you come to capture spoil? Have you assembled your company to seize, plunder, to carry away silver and gold, and to take away cattle and goods, to capture great spoils? Notice the words there, silver and gold and great spoil. Well, Dr. Woods, we see in Deuteronomy 33:24 that more blessed than the sons is Asher. May he be favored by his brother, and may he dip his foot in oil. So what are we talking about here? Dr. Woods, I think we're finding out that they have massive deposits of natural gas, and thus a byproduct, probably that natural gas, of a huge thing of oil, which maybe is what talks about in Deuteronomy. May he dip his foot in oil. So what are they going to come after? Gold, silver, oil? Yes, maybe that's what they're coming for altogether. Natural gas?
Yeah, I think it's an all of the above scenario, but at the very least, the famous Ezekiel 38 prophecy that we spent a lot of time talking about indicates that on the eve of the invasion, which is yet future, Israel will be a nation again in unbelief. Check, got that one. And number two, she will become phenomenally wealthy. And check, that one is happening as well. You'll see this brand new news article entitled, go ahead.
Energene drilling program discovers more gas off Israel, dated November 7th, 2023. That one?
That one, yep.
Energene drilling program discovers more gas off Israel, November 7th, 2023. These folks have found more gas. I mean, it's absolutely astronomical how much gas they have found, Dr. Woods. You want to comment?
Yeah, I think there's a misprint there in what you just read. You said 2023. I think we're still in 2022.
Oh, wait a minute. That's because it says November 7th, 2022. You're right, but then they push the time together. Look how close they have their time. So yeah, it goes 2022, 3:58 a.m. So sorry, yeah. So that is a new article, November 7th, 2022. So there you go.
Yeah, even though we're giving a prophecy update, we're not prophets ourselves.
Yeah, we're not telling you what the headlines are going to be in 2023.
But although
I could tell you what I think some of the headlines are going to be in 2023.
Yeah, and you might be very accurate in what you're saying. But here's the deal. One of the major prophetic trends is the rapid accumulation of Israel's wealth on the eve of this invasion. And almost every time you turn around, there's some natural gas discovery off Israel's coast, oil discovery. We've talked a lot about potential gold and silver discoveries in Israel. So this trend of Israel returning to the land in unbelief and becoming wealthy in the process is prophecies that are happening in real time, exactly like Ezekiel foretold 2,600 years ago in Ezekiel 38.
Wow. All right, let's go to New World Order. Israel, New World Order, persecution, election, reaction. Daniel 7:23, the fourth beast will be a fourth kingdom on earth, which will be different from all other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth and tread it down and crush it. Let's go to this whole issue of Mother Earth. Then we have Gaia Earth worship. How does all this fit with the New World Order, Gaia Earth worship? I know you and I don't know if you know, I've been talking a lot last night, 90 minutes last night I did with Alex Newman, Annie Cyrus, Tom DeWeese, Leo Holman on the COP27 conference happening in the shadow of Mount Sinai where they're calling for, using environmentalism to basically destroy the free market system and have international communism, outlaw fossil fuels, the whole nine yards. Are you tying it in at all with that?
Yes, I am. As you sort of advance the slides, there's an article that says religious leaders gather in Sinai to receive climate justice 10 commandments. And so what I would say is this: they intentionally selected Mount Sinai because that's where where the Decalogue was given, which influenced the whole world. And they're basically trying to create a world without God in it at all by having a new set of 10 commandments. But this time, the 10 commandments is to somehow respect Mother Earth or Gaia. And what I would say is this: what you're seeing being built into the fabric of the New World Order is the religious element of it. It's a three-legged stool. There's a political angle, an economic angle, and a religious angle to the New World Order. And the fact that they're meeting or wanted to meet at Sinai, and as you go through that article, you'll see they created a new Bible commentary called the, eco-friendly Bible commentary. You see very clearly a deliberate attempt to put into place the religious side of this New World Order, and it's a society that basically erases a true knowledge of God. It's no longer God's 10 commandments, but it's the 10 commandments to sort of curtail capitalism to protect Mother Earth. And so you're watching the religious arm of the New World Order form before your very eyes through this COP 27
COP
meeting.
27, yeah. All right, so Israel, New World Order, persecution. Let's go to persecution. Matthew 24:9. Then they will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. And then you list here Matthew 24 and the Revelation chapter 6 parallels. You have a prediction of a false Christ. You have birth pains. You have seal judgments. And in this, you have false Christ, war, famine, death, martyrs, earthquakes, and evangelism, whether it's the birth pains, Matthew 24, or the seal judgments, Revelation 6, there's a comparison. Why did you put this chart in there today, Dr. Woods?
Well, the birth pangs, as you see, mirror the seal judgments. So I think the birth pains of Matthew 24 are, in fact, the seal judgments in the first half of the tribulation period. But in both sections, whether it be Matthew 24, verse 9, or the fifth seal judgment, you have massive martyrdoms. And so I believe the world has to be set up for these martyrdoms by propagating a universal hatred for the true God of the Bible and his followers. And so that's why I have there in the material information from a George Soros front group.
Yeah, look at that headline. Soros-backed group demands IRS crackdown on politically engaged churches. You know what's interesting is in the summer of 2020, I showed a document by a group of Democrats, Marxist Democrats, that were saying what they wanted to do if Biden got elected. They don't want one nation under one nation under God. One nation under man was a book I wrote in 2005. They don't want the phrase one nation under God used. They don't want Judeo-Christian used. And they want to set up the government to decide who is a church and who is not. They claim that too many of these churches are involved in political issues. Well, that's interesting. They don't really seem to care when Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton do it, right? Or Warmack, the guy running for U.S. Senate in Georgia, isn't he from Ebenezer Baptist Church? That's fine. You could do it from the left, from the Marxist side, or black liberation theology side all day long. But don't let evangelical Christians actually apply a biblical theology or doctrine to the issues of the day. That's not acceptable. That's now being political. Notice again how psychological projection. They put onto us, we're just living out a biblical worldview according to that, thus saith the Lord. The left, the so-called religious left, are promoting Marxism, liberation theology, Christianity wrapped with Marxism, and they're fine. They're not being political, they say. The government wants to declare we are. We're actually being biblical. They're the ones being fully political. They jettisoned the Bible a long time ago. Most of their pastors are some of the most immoral adulterers to walk the planet. I mean, this is a matter of proven fact. So this report by these Democrats in 2020 was, if Biden takes the White House, we're going to use that power for us, the central government, the federal government, to decide who's a church and who's not. Sounds like this is falling right in line with that, Dr. Woods.
Yeah, and if you go to get into that article, what this George Soros front group is upset about is basically a pastor in New Mexico who did not agree with the policies of the governor in New Mexico related to using taxpayer money to subsidize abortion, and he called these policies demonic. That's all he said.
Well, you note here in your slide presentation, in 2000, the IRS stripped a church of its tax-exempt status for running an ad saying that voting for Bill Clinton violated the scriptures.
Yeah, that's in the article also.
Well, I remember Dr. Adrian Rogers preaching a few sermons while Clinton was president. I'm shocked didn't get Bellevue Baptist Church at the time or Leavenworth Finding stripped, because Dr. Rogers was preaching right from the Bible, saying, what does the Bible say about our leaders? And it was right during that time that Bill Clinton was, caught up in the Lewinsky scandal. Again, isn't it interesting that if you talk from the Bible in a way that is holding to account your Christian lead or your political leaders, you're in big trouble. But again, they can do it from a liberal Marxist religious standpoint and trash traditional biblical values, and that's okay.
Yeah, and in my opinion, what they're upset about in this article is not even political activity. I mean, nothing is cited related to let's get people out to vote, let's endorse candidates, let's let candidates speak from the pulpit. They're not upset about anything like that. They're simply upset about pastors calling abortions and those that promote abortions demonic. And they're upset about pastors saying Bill Clinton's ideology and lifestyle deviates from the scripture. That's basic material that pastors are supposed to be doing anyway, applying the Bible to contemporary events. And they're calling that political activity, and they're sort of egging on the Biden administration to strip such churches of their tax-exempt status.